Coming up next for us, President Biden warns that the GOP is too extreme. But after preaching unity, is Biden really willing to spend the next 6 months attacking the other side? 6 months from today, Americans will head to the polls to give their verdict on the Democratic leadership in Congress and of the Biden presidency. And this CNN poll doesn't really have much good news for the president and his party. The economy is, of course, the most important issue to voters. And on that measure, most think that Biden's policies are actually making it worse. Yes, there is a jobs boom, as Friday's report confirmed, but inflation is still historically high, and that is what voters are focused on. And it's why Biden's only hope may be this new pitch that we're better than the alternative.
Let me tell you about this ultra MAGA agenda. It's extreme, as most MAGA things are. What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
Our panel is back with us. So, Tamara, this is a change of tone for President Biden, but do you think that the voters will buy that, that extremism on the right is more important than inflation, economy, pocketbook issues?
Every election is about choices. The White House, the president, is trying to put a choice out there that is something other than, do you want Democrats on the economy or Republicans on the economy? When it comes to the economy, there is a really big challenge, as your poll points out. One thing that is fascinating is that for the last decade at least, the views of the economy have been really closely tied to partisan views. If you're a Republican and there's a Democratic president, you think the economy's terrible. If you're a Democrat and there's a Republican president, you think the economy's terrible. Well, somehow this economy has broken through the partisanship, and many Democrats also now are concerned about the economy too, which is not great for President Biden.
Broken through the partisanship, but maybe not in the way that you would expect. I do want to stick with President Biden for a second, because you do hear from a lot of Democrats just a little bit of skepticism that he can hold this line. Yeah. I mean, take a listen to him on Friday talking about a Republican senator, Rob Portman.
Senator Portman, since he's not running again, I can say all the nice things about him that I want. And it won't get him in any trouble. We may not agree on everything, although we agree more than he wants to admit. I want to thank him, his leadership, for bringing folks together to find common ground.
Now, don't get me wrong. That is not a bad thing, but that is the Joe Biden I think a lot of people know.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. The elections are about contrast. The elections are about messages. The elections are about how voters feel. The question has been, what has been the Democrats' message up until now? They have really not had one. They probably still have not really settled one. We are in May of an election year, and they're still trying to debate exactly how to convince voters that they need to continue to hold Congress. And that is the real challenge, because, yes, there are signs, real serious signs, that there are positive indicators in the economy, unemployment being low, things that are turning back from the pandemic, but inflation is still obviously very high. People see how high gas prices are. So how do you message a situation where, yeah, we're doing things maybe better, but you're still getting hurt at the in your pocketbook? That is the balance that they have had, and they haven't been able to really convince voters why they are the ones who need to be sent back to continue to control Congress. That's their challenge going forward.
And inflation is so insidious. If you've ever been on a bike, which I wish I were doing more of, but there is nothing worse. It doesn't matter, a hill, mountain, those are okay compared to a headwind. Because even the downhills are hard when you're facing a headwind. And that's where Democrats are, which is even when they have good news to tell, people are like, yeah, that's great. We're getting more money in our pocket, but it's still hard to even go downhill because I'm spending more on rent and on groceries. The other thing, I'm glad you brought that clip up, because that is really the key, is that Joe Biden is just not the warrior that, say, a Donald Trump was about. Let's go and, show blue team versus red team. And that's what I hear from Democrats, too, is this worry that, gosh, we lose, Democrats, we lose because we don't go all in like Trump did. Yeah. We don't make those contrasts like Trump did. And that only serves to depress the people that those Democrats need to get out.
I always ask Democratic campaign folks, who are the Democrats' surrogates in the midterm elections? They don't have a good answer.
Right. I mean, gone are the days of, like, you trot out Bill Clinton and, I mean,
Barack Obama, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, I think it is a serious problem. And you hear Biden kind of grasping for the sort of MAGA movement. I mean, he's trying to run against Trump. Here's a big problem: Trump is not on the ballot, and Democrats can try that. And there are a lot of things, data points they can point to say this is what happens. This is sort of the MAGA movement in actual fact. But the problem is they can't run against Trump because he's not on the ballot. This is sort of a fundamental problem they haven't figured out since the 2020 election. Is what do Democrats stand for?
I mean, we will talk more about the kind of Trumpism in some of these competitive races, but the Senate and House Republicans really kind of want to decouple rank and file members who are running from Trump himself. Whether they can do that is a different story. I do want to bring up this economic poll. It says something very interesting about how people view the economy. So 23% say that that economic conditions today are good. So that's a very low number. But 53% say that they're satisfied with their own financial situation. So people feel like, okay, maybe I'm okay, but overall the economy is bad. And when you talk to Democrats about that, they know that even though that seems contradictory, that is a real thing out there, and they have to figure out how to run.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say that there's huge uncertainty in the economy, and that is hanging over everything. The uncertainty comes with the Fed raising interest rates to try to contain inflation. Will they be able to come into a soft landing? People don't know. So maybe your checkbook looks fine now, your savings account looks fine now, but will it be worth what you want it to be? Will this job be there? That uncertainty is palpable.
Exactly. Well, coming up next for us,